Does really the BBC intention is that Narendra Modi is like he's not favorable to Islamic brothers and he's destroying the Islamic. He wants Sanatana Dharma to be launched in Bharat. Does really the BBC stories are true?
It's slightly more complicated.
Why BBC will do like such stories?
That's the
Such
question.
having
That's
a big
the
credibility
question.
in all over the world and the global.
That's the question to ask. Why? And so we decided to find out why. And the evidence that we've produced, the conclusion we came to, is that the BBC has an agenda to cause conflict. The old imperial recipe of divide and rule, divide and conquer, in today's world is divide and exploit. So when they can create conflict between family members, they can then come in with a solution. Or maybe the solution is to eradicate one of those family members so that the other one will follow the BBC's and the British imperial design. It's clear this is not a news broadcasting organization. This is a very powerful means of creating perceptions. It can create in the minds of a large number of people worry, fear. It can incite all of these things, and then when the moment is right, trigger them. And it has been doing this for a long time. And the evidence that we had, the BBC was involved in regime changes. And we found 42 British regime change operations. Who would believe that after the war, the Britain is still engaged in regime change? And yet it is. Who would believe that the BBC, that wonderful arbiter and presenter of factual information, is actually an organization invested in creating chaos, using deceit, and shall we say even covering up human rights abuses. And that's the truth of it.
Also, some of people are allegations on you that you was funded by the Narendra Modi, sometimes telling by some Sanatana Dharmam Gurujis. Then what you will say? Wantedly you are doing a strong allegation, such a credibility channel, the BBC. What do you think actually?
I'm really not too concerned. You know, when grown-up people engage in a conversation, they rely on facts and evidence. If you don't have facts, you don't have evidence, then you resort to allegations, you resort to ad hominem accusations. And I've always believed that anybody who resorts to an ad hominem accusation has already admitted that they've lost the debate. So why expend energy on people like that? I would love to see any evidence. I have had no connection whatsoever with the BJP. I have not had the pleasure of the company of Prime Minister Modi ji. And yet, there are many allegations. In fact, I'll share with you, when Prime Minister Modi ji came to the United Kingdom, to Wembley, all of the Hindu leadership were present to meet him, and the only person who didn't get an invitation was me. So there's my evidence that I have.
So there were no connections?
No connections whatsoever.
Then why you are doing then? Purely for what?
Our dharmic principles are very simple. We look to try and help everybody have the maximum of anand, the minimum of suffering, and the minimum of consumption. Those are the three foundational principles of Sanatana Dharma.
But in Bharat, there are so many people like you actually. Why only Satish ji started doing this actually? Why only you?
Are there so many people like me?
In Bharat, there are so many people are there to concern about the Dharma. But why only you took the step in doing this such?
I would say that if one engages in sadhana, then you start to see things differently. And I'll share with you a very simple understanding. For example, in the Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna asks Bhagwan, he says, what should I do? And Sri Krishna ji says to him, Yatha ichchasi tatha kuru. He doesn't say, go and have a plan, go and do some analysis. He says, act. And the very two first words in the Gita are Dharma Kshetra, Kuru Kshetra. That the Dharma Kshetra belongs to the Kurus, those who are doing things. And we don't have enough people who are doing things. We have a lot of people who are talking, who are analyzing, who are trying to understand, who are trying to create awareness. But nothing changes until you act. And so we need more people who are acting. And the pleasure I've had in working with Vinodji and String, Geo, is amazing because he is a person who acts. We need more people who act. And if we get out of our 1.3 billion people, only 0.5% of people who act rather than talk, everything will change.